Hi, I'm Newton Chatta with the Defense Logistics Agency Public Affairs, and this is DLA Rap. This is your opportunity to get to know DLA people and the DLA programs on a more intimate level. Today, my special guest is Apphia Taylor, and she's a program manager with Information Operations. She's also an Air Force Academy graduate, and she's also an Air Force combat veteran. I'm very excited to learn more. How are you today, Apphia?
I'm doing great, Newton. Thanks for having me.
Tell me, where are you from? And where did you grow up, and what did you want to be when you grew up?
So I'm from Toledo, Ohio. My mother's Jamaican and my dad is from Ohio, so it was an interesting household. I have a little sister who's 6 years younger than me, so I was very internally focused. I did a lot of reading, playing with stuffed animals, playing with the Commodore 64 and the 128, which kind of is apropos given what I do today. And I wanted to be a doctor when I grew up, actually, until I was about 16, and I went to a aviation camp at Wright State University. Being from Ohio and birthplace of aviation, they have lots of engineering camps across the state. And then when I was there, I went to the Air and Space Museum and became fascinated with space travel. And so they had a speaker come and talked about how to get to space, and that was through potentially going to the Air Force Academy, being a pilot, and then applying for NASA. And so I changed my entire career trajectory at 16 and started focusing on applying to the Air Force Academy.
And so did you want to be a pilot?
I did not want to be a pilot, which is funny. I wanted to be in space. I did not want to be a pilot, but the person that gave the interview basically predicated it on being a pilot. So because my mother was Jamaican, she wanted me to be a doctor, and that's kind of the Jamaican mother's dream. So to assuage her fears, I told her I would go to the Air Force Academy, go to medical school, and then be a doctor in space so I could do all the things. Ultimately, I didn't do any of those other than go to the Air Force Academy. So.
How would you say the Air Force shaped your leadership style and prepare you for your job here at DLA?
The Air Force, I use it every single day. One of the things that I think is my strength is I am not afraid to be a decisive leader. And I learned that in the Air Force. They teach military officers a thing called the OODA loop, which is observe, orient, decide, act. And it's a decision-making process. And part of that is where you learn, I would say, the responsibility and accountability for decision making, but also not being afraid to make a decision, right? Because it's better to make a decision than to do nothing, right? So in my job today, that helps a lot. We've made, difficult decisions on our program that I've been able to explain to leadership why we made this decision, go through the courses of action and come to an agreement that's amenable for all parties. And I really do think that the Air Force is what gave me the ability to clearly look at the options, explain the options, and then make the right decision.
What brought you to DLA? How long have you been here? And tell me about your job and what you do.
Air Force Academy brought me here. I had owned a business in Belgium, and then I came back to the States, and I met with a friend of mine who was an Air Force grad, and he was supporting who is now the CIO, Mr. Roberts, and he hired me on. At the time, Mr. Roberts was a portfolio manager, and he hired me on as contract support, and that was in 2015, and I've been with DLA ever since. DLA is a great agency. I love working here. I love the people. I love the mission. It is such an exciting place to be. So what I do now is, after I started as a contractor, I applied and got a job as a government employee. So I started in the FedMall program office as a branch chief. And now I'm a program manager for the stores program office. And stores is the subsistence, total order, and receipt electronic system, which is what we use to order Class 1 supply for all the military bases and military vessels. So if you've ever been on a military base and eaten in the dining facility, you got the food from stores. What's great about that job is you're feeding the troops. So it's really easy to understand why it matters. Every day you can get up and have a new fervor for the mission and understanding why what you're doing is important. I've never worked with a more professional group of people. They love the mission.
Having been in the Air Force and being a warfighter, and you're still supporting warfighters, what does that mean to you?
That's an interesting question, because I often tell my team, when I was deployed, I received the store's mission. And I was gone for Christmas, gone for Thanksgiving, gone for New Year's. And I will tell you that the Christmas dinner I received, the Thanksgiving dinner I received, were highlights of my deployed time. And they really gave you the taste of home, even though you're so far away and you're lonely and missing family. And that meal really did a lot for my morale. So it's really interesting to be on this side and delivering that, right? And that's really what helps me stay inspired.
When you said customer, who are you referring to? Who's your customer?
So my customer is DLA Troop Support in Philadelphia, and their customer is the services. And that's actually an interesting question because it becomes exciting sometimes to focus on the services because, they're the end user, that's the warfighter. Ultimately, it's my job to make sure that Troop Support has the IT capability to deliver subsistence to the services, so that's what we focus on.
And what advice would you give to a young person in the military or even, a young civilian who's just starting their career? Like, why logistics?
So when I was in the Air Force, I didn't know all the great things the civilians do. I was very military focused. I also didn't know that the GS civilian jobs were open and looking for people with the experience of a young military officer. So if you are a young military officer, I would say, and you're looking to transition, you want to continue to serve, civil service is a wonderful opportunity to continue doing that.
So on your LinkedIn, I noticed that for Apphia Taylor, there's PMP, CISSP, PMI-ACP, CSM. I only know what PMP is. I don't know what the rest of them are. What motivates you?
What we do every day is for people who may lose their life protecting this nation. And the least I can do is make sure that I am staying up to speed on what it takes for me to be the best at my job.
What is something that people at work may be surprised to learn about you from what you do outside of work?
Actually, I do a lot of problem solving in the gym, believe it or not. When I'm loading plates on the machine, I'm thinking about work stuff, right? And it's interesting how pushing the weight helps my mind solve a problem. And then I have a cat, and he's my life. So I spend a lot of time with him too.
So how do you think you'd like to make a difference, whether it's personally or professionally or both?
When I think about, how am I making a difference? I think about my team when they ask for things, various requests for personal time or family time or whatever. Those are things I think make the difference because ultimately, my job here, I feel, is to serve others.
And what do you think your superpower is?
My superpower is, I think I have two, is the ability to make a decision and stand behind it. And not be afraid and just, this is what we're gonna do. And also my empathy. I'm incredibly empathetic and that has helped me with leadership a lot because I don't have to go through something to understand what someone has gone through and understand how I can help, even in a small way in that experience.
Well, thank you so much for rapping with me today.
Well, thanks so much, Newton. I appreciate it. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
And
Great
I
rap.
really appreciate you, talking with me and spending time. And I want to thank all of you out there for watching the DLA Rap.